mani he hala pe kotali e va. Fana e a pomino anonga si oloto ha. Io he koe na ni vi e filo siliva. Tui si otolei vagina. He kakalada puta e ueia.
In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, I want to welcome you all to another episode of Pacific Health Talanoa. But first of all, I want to say Happy Tongan Language Week. Woohoo! Malo lelei, koe tau porkalama Talanoa mo ui lelei eni e ka inga Pasifiki. O ku au fia e whakawhailoa ki atu, Alisi Tatafu, ke mā Talanoa whekau aki mo e wike oku katoa ngai e lea whakatonga Aotearoa. Malo lelei Alisi?
Malo lelei Lorenzo, pa ko kore peke u whanga ngai whatapu whahenga ea, ka tāma ki whine motu a tua koendi ke whahoko ai Talanoa a Pacific Health Talanoa pa mo Lorenzo he ahoni mo talamo nuat peke he tau wike lea whakatonga wafe wataha. Malo a pito Lorenzo.
Oku ke hake?
Oko saipe malo.
Saipe malo. Welcome back to another episode of Pacific Health Talanoa on the 6th of September 2021. Well, I am so blessed to have a very, very special guest on our show today, Alisi Tatafu. So not only she is a secondary school teacher for Mangere College, but she is also a co-founder for a charitable trust, which is, she is going to talk more about it, but mainly about the language week for our Tongan community. Alisi, can you elaborate or can you tell us a little bit about the theme for this year?
Io malo apito Lorenzo. The theme or the kaweinga this year, Lorenzo, is in Tongan koe whakakoloa a Aotearoa aki ai lea whakatonga, or in English enriching Aotearoa with holistic education. And I believe that's providing everyone sort of a wide range of perspective that you can come from, whether as, you know, as high school teachers from the classroom, focusing on academic, but it also the body, mind and spirit, you know, we can take it there, and it allows everyone to draw from their strengths, but particularly today, you know, drawing on our Pacific Health and, you know, how water and well-being is very important, and how do we address this or raise awareness during these unprecedented times.
I like the key word in a theme for this year, education. Do you think that our curriculum or, you know, our education system is doing enough to promote and to pass on our Pacific languages to our young generation?
This is quite new. This is probably one of the Pacific languages that has gone on lockdown level 4.
Yes.
So, you know, this is a new game ball, a new field, and we're encouraged to go virtual. So it is quite new for our older generation, a little bit more familiar for maybe the, you know, the group of people who have worked with technology a little bit more, which really wants the use of, you know, laptops and digital devices and online interaction. So, yeah, there'll be a range of people, trying to engage, creating their own resources online. So, yeah, it would be a new playing field. So, I think people are developing innovative ways.
Well, awesome. And, you know, I've known you ever since I started at University of Auckland. And I don't know, but just having you on the show today, I'm so humbled and I'm so blessed because I got you, you know, as a leader from uni and now sharing on this platform. I'm so humbled to have you. But going back to our uni days and seeing you, you know, in the quad, you know, advocating for Taua, you know, for the Tongan Association at the University of Auckland, and now you're still carrying on. You're still doing the same work that you started a long time ago. Now, tell me about the Taua, the Tongan Association for University of Auckland. How is that going at the moment?
They are going strong.
Wow.
I am so proud of them. The leadership, the legacy that continues to allow young people at University of Auckland that may be Tongan or non-Tongan, as you all know. It was a very, it was open. You didn't have to be Tongan to be part of Tawa, because it was about supporting each other. During uni days, it's not the easiest. We have high expectation for our students that attend university, any university around Aotearoa. So, to have that kind of network of Pacifica, not only Tongan, and as you know, we were very much Toko also already at university. That kind of relationship, really, we thrive on that. And so I can share with you now that Tawa is strong, and I'm always happy to just touch base with them, once in a while, every year. And after this, I'll be doing a Zoom for their Tongan Language Week after this. So watch the space, everyone. And it's not just for socializing. There is support, and it does encourage everyone to network, because, now we finish uni, we could still continue to network like we are today.
Wow, absolutely. And that's the beauty of connection and collaboration. I mean, who thought that would be, sharing on this platform since our uni days? But anyways, for those who don't know, but Alisi Tatafu is also an MC for Matema Tonga and Ikale Tahi Tonga Games. You might have seen her on TV back in 2000 and, the last World Cup for Rugby League. And she was, on the microphone, hyping up the crowd. You saw her at the Waikato Stadium. Wow, what an atmosphere. I mean, I'm just, the way the Tongan community cheer and support the Matema Tonga and for the language to bring amazing people together. How important it is, your language to you, Alisi?
It is very important. Malo Albito, Lorenzo, for again triggering those wonderful memories of our 2017 Rugby League World Cup campaign. I do want to acknowledge Ikaletahi, our rugby union, had a different approach, but for Rugby League, Matema Tonga provided us a platform to encourage and support our language, not only but on the field. And that was quite new and different, having our Tongan ministers, our hymns being sung at the beginning. And it was both the Whaiwheao and Whaiwhekau at the Manu Samoa game that just allowed everyone to look, to show the whole world how united we are, and that there was, nothing to worry about, but it allowed us to, allow the Holy Spirit to come in and walk with us, that day, and it really unified us. So that's probably one of the proudest moments. But it was our Lea Whakatonga, it was our Ngangana Samoa that allowed us at the field to really unite us. And language is so important, and even if you do not speak it, fluently, I still encourage everyone to connect it in any form, whether it's through your dance, singing, acting, spoken word. You can always ask a family member to help you. So, don't worry about, people calling you plastic. I think it's in here, in your heart.
Yes.
If you feel Tongan, that's what brought everyone together. And most people might not speak Tongan or Lea Whakatonga, but they can sure sing, sing the Tongan songs. It's another way of learning the language. And I just encourage everyone to, embrace and also enrich Aotearoa with our, with the various ways that we can learn our language.
Thank you, Alisi. I'm also aware that you are a co-founder for Toko Collaboration Charitable Trust. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do for this, charity organization? Alisi?
Thank you, Lorenzo. So back in 2011, we did have a spike in our Tongan community with youth suicide. So, it really triggered something inside of me to not sit on my hands and really get out there. And by a serendipitous moment, I met a clinical psychologist a Tongan bilingual Pauline Taufa, and we've worked collaboratively. So Ministry of Health, and I'm in education. Together we collaborated, because Toko is like also brotherhood and sisterhood. So it was about allowing education to work together with health to promote, raise awareness using our various different teaching tools, and just allowing the messages to, resonate with the young people and their families and how they want to run their programs. So it was about, that was the real collaboration, and making that connection allows us to really, to be confident in our identity and culture. And through language, we were both bilingual. We were able to, translate everything into Tongan and lea whakatonga to our parents and church leaders. So yeah, it allowed us to sort of cover our Tongan communities where language can be a barrier. But when our people hear their language, they respond. And it is about, currently we've just finished a 2.5 year contract with Ministry of Health regarding raising awareness of well-being, which was actually quite ideal last year because we went online. And as an educator, we had to go on our Google Meets and utilize Google Classroom and Zoom and any forms of online learning to help our students during these tough times. And we also are able to provide support through our clinical support, because as teachers, we're not trained as clinicians. So it's always nice to be safe, to get to ask for help, to get the right help for our kids, and to have our counselors, social worker, and even a clinical psychologist, to provide that support for Mangere College, which our principal, I want to acknowledge Mr. Tom Webb, will probably is our spokesperson, and he will probably tell you more about it. But also I want to acknowledge our Toko collaboration project manager, who usually is the main communicator. For me and Pauline, we're the facilitators, so we make the connections, and then and it was just about that sort of synergy that we had to partner up with the grassroots community. It's just not beyond the school gates, Lorenzo.
Yes.
We can't always do enough, and that's probably where a lot of our health providers work more closely, because we can only do so much. So just like during this lockdown, it is a bit challenging for our families who are not connected, who do not have a device, who do not have connection to Wi-Fi. But I can say Ministry of Education is doing their very best to keep us connected, because that is one of the ways to protect us during is a well-being factor, one of the 5 ways. So, that is something we're encouraging.
Wow, what an amazing initiative. And I do hope that the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education will carry on that work with, the Toko Collaboration Trust. Now, as a school teacher, Alisi, do you think the Tongan Language Week will be alive and will be stronger than how it is now, moving forward?
Well, our hope is that the Tongan language will thrive and it will enrich. However, we need to practice. This is a plea to our parents, especially our first generation New Zealand Tongan born, who are born here, that it is really important to keep those connections with our parents, the grandparents of these second generation of kids, so that our language does not, is not lost. However, that is our prayer, and together with our grandparents' prayers, that our language is sustainable through a lot of these initiatives and, promotion of lea whakatonga. And, it's really really great to know that the government of Aotearoa, the current government and previous governments have allowed us to celebrate our Pacifica language, and have whole of Aotearoa be a bit more aware of it.
Thank you, Alisi. Now, last week, the Ministry of Health gave $26 million to Pacific Health. What about Pacific Education? do you think we're getting enough funding and enough support from MOE?
I would, because I would like to be diplomatic about things, I would hope that Ministry of Health will work closely and maybe collaborate with Ministry of Education so that any of those programs disseminated throughout Aotearoa will also allow the education sector to benefit. So if possible, it would be lovely if there was more relationship, partnership and collaboration so that, our ministry, and I know that it is, the Ministry of Health will probably need it more with what is happening now. However, it would be lovely if it could, if that love can, pour down towards the Ministry of Education as well and into the grassroots.
And with the level 4 lockdown, Alisi, our Tongan community, we cannot do those events that we hear. The Tongan language is spoken and heard and used like Whaikava, and also our Sunday, services, because that's where we speak and that's where we hear the Tongan language spoken and used. What is the impact of our, not just the Tongan language, but Pacific languages, because of the level 4 lockdown?
Well, I think there is some optimism and some hope, Lorenzo, because a lot of our elders are asking, are actually utilizing these platforms, these online platforms. And so our parents have got mobile phones. They are watching Facebook very closely, and the language is coming through our social media platforms, like the radio, like these Zooms or online sessions. So unfortunately, mobilizing people more maybe face-to-face is no longer there. However, I feel there's still hope with the messages going through our social media. And we need to support our parents so that they can get the messages, watching the TV, they still enjoy the radio, but they're also, especially our parents, using Facebook. My parents, they love their Facebook and all these live messages and they enjoy it. However, we need to use those for a positive outcome and to really get our health, Pacific health messages across through there. And I think that will allow us to, let the Tongan language thrive, but also enrich Aotearoa.
Thank you so much, Alisi. What is your message for our young Tongan community who are not so, not too sure whether they are Tongans or, island-born Tongans or New Zealand-born Tongans? They are pretty lost in their identity. What is your message for our Tongan community?
Well, I think one of the things will be to encourage Talanoa, Lorenzo, Talanoa, and have a conversation with mum and dad. That's really important. Maybe put the mobile phone down, or talk to Nana and Papa, Grandma and Grandpa, or a trusted aunt or uncle. We know our kids, they always have a auntie or a favorite auntie or uncle that they can trust, that they can talanoa with. And perhaps through those, developing those relationships can allow our kids to know a little bit more about, where they come from and their identity and their culture. And through there, we can allow them to maybe try, learning their language. So, again, building trusted relationships and encouraging our kids to talanoa and not just text or put it on, their stories, but really, really face-to-face talanoa, even if it's online. So that's my message, connect with your family and connect with Christ to help you. And that will allow us to walk towards our values. It means that we can walk towards our culture and our language.
Okay, 20 years ago, our good friend, Whanana Efesa Collins, he was the very first PI to become president for, AUSA. And then we had Kamau Sipuloni, who was leading Tuakana back at uni. And we had you, who was leading our Tongan association, and they're now in politics. I guess, have you ever considered, moving into that environment too, because you can do a lot more being in that environment, in the parliament. Have you ever considered that, Alisi?
Thank you, Lorenzo. I have at many times been encouraged to look into politics.
Yes.
Yes, and we majored in politics.
Yeah.
However, I think everyone's calling is different. We may be using our skills and talents. Some can go into politics, and some of us can be in the classroom in order to make those small changes. However, it is important to know that wherever we're placed, we can make a small difference. I think for now, it's something that I've been encouraged, but I feel,
Wow.
I might have to pray upon it, Lorenzo, but thank you for bringing it up.
I think a good memory that comes to mind about you, Alisi, was back in 2013 when you rocked the stage of the Vodafone Event Center for the Loto Mo'oi community event, and I can still remember you co-emceeing with a very young a fine Samoan man. That was an O for Ocean event, and we need to bring back that event. We need to bring back Loto Mo'oi because our countless Manukau churches are suffering. There is an initiative for West Auckland and Auckland Central, as well as West Auckland, but we need to bring back Loto Mo'oi for South Auckland. What do you say, Alisi?
I totally support Loto Mo'oi and the role that the churches have. Does make a difference. This is, apart from going to school, the church becomes our family. And this is who our parents and our elders, and we also draw strength from, is the fellowship and the bread of Christ, and the church being the body of Christ. I think we draw to them and we draw to the setting and the environment. Yeah. So again, if they can utilize our churches, that will be, like you said, O for awesome, O for ocean of impact. The impact will be much more beneficial for everyone, and it will be greater because the messages will be provided, and it will resonate with a lot more when it becomes, through our working together with our church leaders and our youth leaders. There's some amazing, people, and I'm just blessed, and to God be the glory. I was an instrument on that day, but it was an opportunity that I feel, even though I wasn't from Counties Manukau, but because of teaching at Mangere College, I was able to support and tau Toko wherever I can, and it was definitely a blessing, and I will cherish those memories. But thank you for reminding me. It was. That was probably my first time to MC a major event, especially at Vodafone. And the second time was 2018 when we had to welcome our Mate Matonga team because Auckland Airport said, no more Tongans at the airport. We need to take them to Vodafone. So again, I feel God has, provided those opportunities to teach us, and we just encourage our kids to make the most of those kinds of opportunity. It will help perhaps in the future.
Nice, Alisi. This whole week is a very important week for our Tongan community. What is your message for not just Tongans, but the whole Pacific community to use Tongan for this week? Alisi?
Yeah, malo apito Lorenzo, if I can just share in our lea whakatonga. Ai mau inga au pito e kainga tonga ho ek me kainga tonga ai whakaloto lahe tau whanau ke o te nau ma. Not to be shy, if they lea whakatonga and they may get it wrong. Practice makes perfect, and just like all of us, English has been a second language. We came from the islands, and we had to pick up English. It's not our first language, so it's important. Just keep on encouraging. I'm really grateful for my dad, who was just adamant, lea whakatonga when we get home, and you can go to school and speak all the English you want. However, those are the teachings of our parents are not in vain. They will benefit us in the future, and very grateful for my parents, my late grandmothers who encouraged lea whakatonga, writing letters to them in Tongan because they lived in Tonga, but also for our church family. It was my Sunday school. Very grateful for my Sunday school teachers who made us read, write. We had our examinations all in Tongan. So
Wow.
that was that allowed us who grew up in New Zealand to really embrace our language, not just speaking, but writing and reading is just as important.
Thank you so much, Alisi Tatafu. You're not only an educator, you are an advocate for our Tongan language, not just here in Aotearoa, but the whole world, because the world has been watching you speak, your language, with pride. So thank you so much for coming on the show. God bless you for many, many work that you do and your tautua, your service for our Pacific, especially for our Tongan language week this week. May God bless you. And I will surely have another conversation with you about moving forward with the health and well-being of our people. Malo opito.
Malo opito, Lorenzo. Tua ofat.
Ofatu. Alisi Tatafu. Oh man, a great leader for our Tongan community. Speaking
I just do my little.
Speaking about the Tongan language.
That was okay. Was that all right?
Vakamani mani he hala pekotali eva Pana pana e a pomino anong asi oloto ha Iyo he koe na nivi e filo siliva Tui si otolei vahina He kakalata puta e ueia Lanue malata si ofofonga potue langita o kakapa Hei lalamoe huni o umutangata O kama e kau kakala tangi e si ale tafa Pipitongi kosi otosi si pakabahamapa
Squad, baby. Rex, J. Sands. Oh, say I'm an say you are complete to me, I get you. By the way that you move and the way that you smile. Say, oh my Dorima, baby, you be giving your hand, I'll take you anywhere. You give me something that I never had. Cause you care, but about to me and the family. Say, why you waiting on me to talk to you? Yeah, I'ma listen what y'all say. Yeah, don't move out in the come here. Yeah, they on the layout, dirty wine, girl, dirty wine. Yeah, say, tama in and not the bite, say.